Sometimes emulating and admiring others' cultures can be taken too far and therefore seen as disrespectful, whether it was intended or not. We're taking a look at 4 celebs who've recently been accused of cultural appropriation. Today's episode of Newsfeed is brought to you by Pandora Premium, where you can search and play your favorite songs. Pandora sounds like you. Other cultures are cool, but there's a fine line between appreciation and appropriation. We are living in a time where people are getting more and more vocal about systematic issues and racial tensions that in the past have been overlooked. Depending on what kind of person you are, you can view that as a blessing or a curse. Nonetheless, people guard their cultures and heritage with pride, and therefore it can get a little messy when others borrow from said cultures and are praised for it, whereas the cultures they're borrowing from receive zero credit. Also, oftentimes the things that are being borrowed from said cultures are characteristics or features that the cultures they originated from have been demeaned for in the past. So it becomes a matter of, why is a celebrity being praised for such and such when the culture it is being borrowed from has been doing such and such for years and fails to receive any recognition for it? This was exactly the case with Kylie Jenner. Kylie has been accused of cultural appropriation on several occasions. For example, Kylie is a fan of cornrows, and when she posted a photo on Instagram wearing them, the internet expressed their concerns. Activist and actress Amanda Stanberg commented on the photo to educate Kylie on why people were so upset by saying, quote, "When you appropriate black features and culture but fail to use your position of power to help black Americans by directing attention towards your wigs instead of police brutality or racism." She then expanded on her point in an extended Instagram post saying, quote, "Black features are beautiful, black women are not. This at least seems to be the mentality surrounding black femininity and beauty in a society built upon Eurocentric beauty standards. While white women are praised for altering their bodies, plumping their lips, and tanning their skin, black women are shamed, although the same features exist on them naturally." Kylie was recently called out for cultural appropriation again for allegedly copying the designs for her new camo line from a designer based in New York. Upon the release of the line, people went in on Twitter, calling out publications who had credited Kylie for pioneering the camo look when it was actually Destiny's Child who originally made the two-piece camo look famous back in the early 2000s. Kylie's sister Kim Kardashian-West has received her fair share of backlash for cultural appropriation as well, for reasons similar to what Amanda explained to Kylie. However, her most recent cultural appropriation accusations stemmed from the ads for her new KKW beauty line. In the ad, Kim's skin tone appears to be significantly darker than usual, which led many to accuse her of blackface and in turn exploiting black culture to sell her products. But Kim explained that blackface was of course never her intention and that she appeared darker in the photo due to heavy contrast and a tan. Kim explained further to the New York Times saying, quote, "I would obviously never want to offend anyone. I use an amazing photographer and a team of people. I was really tan when we shot the images, and it might be that the contrast was off. But I showed the image to many people, to many in the business. No one brought that to our attention. No one mentioned it. We made the necessary changes to that photo and the rest of the photos. We saw the problem and we adapted and changed right away. Definitely, I have learned from it." Miley Cyrus is also no stranger to a little cultural appropriation. During the era of her Bangers album, I think it's safe to say that Miley was very appreciative of the hip-hop culture and fully embraced it with the style of music she was making at the time and the persona that she presented on stage. For example, Miley went on a twerking frenzy, which is totally fine. I love a good twerk and get your life. But people began to take issue with it when the media began to say things like Miley is a twerking queen or she invented it. She didn't, so I can understand the frustrations around the situation, but more recently Miley was accused of cultural appropriation when she wore a bendy in an Instagram photo. Demi Lovato was accused of cultural appropriation in her No Promises music video for wearing what appeared to be dreadlocks. After getting a load of backlash on Twitter, Demi clapped back saying, quote, "They were twists, not dreads. Hashtag relax. By the way, they looked effing rad anyway." And last but not least is Katy Perry. KP is an admitted serial cultural appropriator. Back in 2013, during her American Music Awards performance, she straight up came out as a geisha, and then in her This Is How We Do music video, she wore braids and grills while eating watermelon. Whether or not you think that's cultural appropriation, Katy's recently apologized in an interview with DeRay McKesson, where she admitted that she didn't realize she was hurting people until someone pointed it out to her. She said, quote, "I won't ever understand some of those things because of who I am. I will never understand, but I can educate myself and and that's what I'm trying to do along the way. I didn't know that I did it wrong until I heard people saying I did it wrong, and sometimes that's what it takes. It takes someone to say out of compassion and out of love, hey, this is what the origin is. Whenever we make mistakes, it's a great idea to take a step back, examine the situation, and acknowledge what you did wrong so then you can educate yourself and learn from it. By now, I'm sure you guys are just itching to get to that comment section if you haven't done so already, so let all your thoughts out in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching Clevver News. I'm your host, Drew Dorsey, and I'll see you next time. Click to the right to see why Rihanna slid into a fan's DMs, and to the left to see why Niall thinks a 1D reunion would be weird. And thanks again to Pandora for sponsoring this episode. Now with Pandora Premium, where personalized radio meets on-demand listening, it's the only music app you'll ever need.